we are again at Leerburg. Michael Ellis is here from California, and we're filming some of our videos. Last night we posted on Facebook for folks to send us questions, and we had a really nice response. Michael's going to read this question because he's better at reading than I am. And so Michael, you want to get that?
So we have a question here from Lindsay. It says, I've taught a 6-month-old German Shepherd the jumps from your video, but she seems to switch off, and I have to put a long line on her for escape avoidance. If I persist with this message, will I get the same results? I still use food, and I've taught her leash pressure, but she does not tug play. Thanks, guys. Keep up the good work. Lindsay, so one of the things that happens, and we need to keep in mind as we go forward, is, one, I would get the long line off the dog. It sounds like, to me, an issue of motivation on the dog's part. Right? And so if your dog's avoiding you when the long line comes off trying to run away, we need to break out and increase the value of the reward and increase your engagement there. But what happens a lot is when we use negative punishment for our dogs making mistakes, and negative punishment is the withholding of reward for the dog. It's called negative punishment for a reason. It's punishment. It stops behavior because the dog doesn't like it. And it can have a negative effect on motivation. So dogs, even dogs that we aren't correcting for their mistakes, not physically correcting them with positive punishment, with corrections, can still start to become avoidant. So if they make a mistake on the jump and I say nope and don't give them their food and take them back, they can become avoidant to that negative punishment. And so what we need to do is break it down a little bit, lower the jumps, make it easier, make them successful so you don't have to tell them that they're wrong and they don't have to fail, and then increase the value of the reward. So even though you're using food when the dog's successful, instead of just handing the dog a piece of food, crank up the volume, release them, run with the food, tease them, give 3 or 4 in a row, break off, do some fun engagement stuff between your repetitions, and then come back to the jumps again. So it sounds like you just need to realign your dog's motivation around the jumps. If your dog's trying to avoid and escape, and you're putting a long line on them to block them, you're going to actually make that problem worse. Now the dog is avoiding because they're worried about the jumps, or they're worried about being wrong, and they're deciding they don't like this activity. The long line's not going to help here. So especially with a 6-month-old, right? And with a 6-month-old, they shouldn't be jumping very much, really, right? So they should just be doing the pattern of the jump, probably. Touch pads, a bar laying on the ground, maybe some uprights. But take it easy, back up a step, re-motivate your dog, or give it a rest for a bit and bring up your dog's motivation for the food, do some chase games, some engagement games, and then come back at it. It's really easy to go too fast and forget that negative punishment is still punishment. Like withholding rewards is still aversive to dogs, and that's the reason it works as punishment.